So welcome to IvyLearn Function Junction, and this is actually episode 3, so please excuse my little error there on the slide. We are doing Function Junction webinars. They're 30 minutes or less, task-oriented video tutorials. So today's topic, we're going to talk about the video course cards and how that corresponds with the course calendar. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do today is we're going to log into the IvyLearn platform. Okay, so let's go to ivylearn.ivytech.edu. ivylearn.ivytech.edu. You're going to enter in your credentials for the My Ivy, which is formerly known as Campus Connect. You'll be prompted to enter in a username and password. And once you do, you'll open up to the IvyLearn platform. This, by default, opens up to the dashboard. Okay, so right now we're in the global view of the IvyLearn platform, and you'll notice over here on the left-hand side of the page, this is the global navigation menu. Each one of these icons allows you to move from one content area to the other. This center, larger part of the real estate is called a content area, and by default, we open up to that dashboard. On the right-hand side of the page, this is called the sidebar. And the sidebar contains information like a to-do list and can also access the calendar from here. You'll notice in my to-do list, this is a global perspective. So all the courses that I'm enrolled in as an instructor or as a student will appear here on my to-do list. This is all driven by due dates. I can actually click on this link to go into my class. It tells me the class that I'm in, how many points, and when it's due. So this is a great way for students to stay organized, and to faculty too, and stay on top of what they need to do in a timely fashion. Okay. Students and faculty can click this little X over on the right-hand side and make that message disappear. Just because they click that X, it doesn't mean that it changes the announcement or deletes it from the system forever. It just means that it changes it from this global perspective and this global view. It just removes this. This is customizable to each individual user. The other area on this dashboard page is this toggle switch. Okay, right now with the little, looks like a Rubik's Cube icon, this is the course card view. Okay, when we click the little toggle and we move it to the other direction, this is our activity stream. So it shows me all of my recent activity in all of my courses. So you'll see in all the courses that I'm enrolled in, either as a faculty or student, I have 8 announcements. There have been 9 conversation messages, 4 assignment notifications, and 4 discussions. And I can actually click on any one of these links and it can take me into those content areas. So kind of at a glance of everything and all the changes that have taken place in IvyLearn. This is a new way of organizing our content. It's a new way of being engaged with the content. I think you'll like it, and I think students will too. I think students will be very successful with this platform. Unlike before, you never knew if someone had changed anything or added something to the discussion board. In the IvyLearn platform, it's very transparent on the changes that are taking place in the course and allows you to interact with that in a much easier fashion. So today, like I mentioned, we're going to talk about these course cards. And this is a course card, okay, and their correlation to the calendar. Everything in IvyLearn is calendar driven. Okay, you will be using your calendar dates. You will be setting due dates for everything in your IvyLearn courses. Why? Because it really drives everything. It drives this calendar. It drives what you see on this global menu. It drives what you see in your course. It's a very powerful tool to help us stay organized and also engaged. So we now are having a more interactive learning platform. So this is a course card. By default, you'll see a color block at the top of the card. Okay, so it's blue, red, they can be customized. But the thing you need to remember is these color blocks are individualized. Okay, so these color blocks, you can change the color. So if I don't like blue, here's this little pencil icon. And anytime you see the pencil in any of the IvyLearn platform areas or content areas, this means that that item can be customized or edited. So when I click the pencil, I can change the color to anything that I like. So I'm going to select this nice orange color, and I apply it. Now this orange color is only viewable to me. This is not pushed out to your students. And the reason why is because these color blocks correspond with this course calendar. Okay? And when you go into the course calendar, just real quickly, I want to show you a visual of this. Each course card has a color, and then that color corresponds with what you see on the calendar. Okay, so if every instructor really loved the color orange, and that personal preference of that instructor pushed out to students, students could actually end up with 4 or 5 classes in their calendar all with the orange icon, and it can be very confusing. So the color coding can be individualized by the user. Okay, so even if my friend Ron in Richmond and my friend Steve here, if both of them enjoyed the color orange in their course cards, it wouldn't necessarily conflict for that student. So let's go back into that dashboard and learn a little bit more about those course cards. The other nice thing about the course card is you can give it a nickname. So you'll see here in this particular example, IvyLearn 101. I might be teaching multiple sections of that, so I can give this a nickname. Okay, I click the Edit button again, the little pencil, and then I can say this is my IvyLearn 101 course, and I teach that on Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays. So I'm teaching multiple sections, and then I might say, you know what, this is my, actually this is my Tuesday, Thursday class. I can make myself a note or a nickname to help distinguish what this means to me. Again, that nickname does not push out to the students. This is your own personal view. Okay, and students can give their courses nicknames as well. It's customizable both for the student and the faculty member. Now, the course card have the color blocks. We've already talked about that. But you can also see a series of icons along the bottom of the page. And you can have up to 4 icons across the bottom of the course card. And let me see if I can find a better example of this. Okay, so here in our super user organization, we have this little megaphone. And this megaphone means that there's an announcement. Okay, so if you're using announcements in your course, here's the icon, and it'll tell you, I have 4 new announcements that I have not read or seen in the super user organization. Okay. There are 2 discussions, course discussions. This is what the little thought bubble icon looks like. And it looks like there have been 2 new posts to my course discussion. This next area is an assignment, so if a new assignment had been added, I would see a number here, but I do know that there are assignments within that course. And then finally, these are course files, so if a new file has been added to my course, I will see that as well. And as a student or as the instructor, I can click on any one of these little icons and it'll open up to that section in the course. So I now, for example, am in my super user organization, and I see that there have been 4 new announcements posted. So pretty convenient. A great way of knowing what's going on in your courses. If a student adds a discussion board or a student interacts with the content or even adds to the announcement page, then they too, you will get notifications that those things have happened. Not a lot of clicking. It's a lot smoother process. So let's go back into our dashboard. Okay. You can have up to 20 course cards on the dashboard. Okay. They are first listed by the courses that you're an instructor in, and then it ends up with the courses that you are taking as a student. You can customize your course card view. So for example, if something disappears or you're not seeing it any longer, you can also click on this courses area. So if you are a coordinator for a group of courses and you need access to all of those as well as to the ones that you're teaching, you might have definitely more than 20 courses in a particular semester. So only 20 of those course cards will appear at a time. If you want to see or customize that view, you click the Courses button here on our global navigational menu. Okay. I then click All Courses. When I click All Courses, I now see a list of all the courses I'm enrolled in. I can also see my past enrollments in any groups that I'm enrolled in. When you toggle, click the little star button, and when it becomes transparent, it means that you're removing that course from your dashboard view. Okay, so I've now removed those courses from my dashboard view. And this is how I can adjust and customize my 20 courses that I want to see on that front page on my dashboard. To re-engage or to make that visible again, I just click the star again, and you'll notice that it fills in with a color block. Okay. So dashboard is where I see all my courses at a glance. Courses button is where I can customize that. I see that we've had a couple questions come into the question box, so let's take a moment to try to answer those. Okay. Phyllis asks, how would you suggest we handle Emporium classes with no set due dates until the last day of the course? I'm not familiar with the term Emporium classes, so I apologize, Phyllis. You can have items that don't have due dates. I guess I'd have to learn more about your course structure. We are definitely encouraging everyone to use those course due dates to keep students on track. You know, and if you don't have something due until the last, or if you have a huge project, Phyllis, that you're working on, you might set milestones for them just to make sure they're meeting those sections. I'm going to show you the calendaring system, and maybe that'll also give you a better idea, Phyllis, of how to make that work. I'd always be glad to brainstorm with you offline as well. Okay, looks like Deb has a question as well. If I add an announcement, will that be a notification, or is it just when someone else adds an announcement? Okay, all right, so we're going to get a little bit off track here, but I want to make sure that you understand this announcement tool. The cool thing about announcements in the IvyLearn platform, and I'm going to go into my demo class here. The announcement page is now, it's now something that is more interactive. Okay, it's not just something that you post. It's not a static item. So when I click on my announcements, not only can I read the announcement, but my students can now interact with me. They can reply to my announcement. It's now an interactive tool. So you'll see here in my demonstration that I've posted this announcement. Kara has replied to my announcement, and I've actually replied back to her using a video. Okay, so it's very, very flexible. So imagine, if you will, you're teaching in a traditional class and you want to maybe offer an online study session. Maybe you're preparing for your midterms or final. You could actually post an assignment. Hello, students, I'm thinking about having a midterm study session. Would you be available? Would you prefer evenings or Saturday mornings? These are the times that I'm thinking. What are your preferences? Students could actually respond back to that announcement right here and let you know, hey, I'm more available on Saturday mornings, or anytime after 6 is good with me. So this really becomes a way that students and faculty can interact together. So anytime there's a change to this announcement, that will appear on your course card. Okay, so anytime someone replies to that announcement, on my announcement tool, which is this little megaphone, you'll see that someone has added a comment or to that announcement page. Notifications is also an advanced tool. Last Friday, we talked about the notification system. Anytime that I've added an announcement, depending on my personal preference, the notifications is located up here under your account settings. I can get notified through my email, through my text messages, or whatever I've set up my personal preferences, and be notified that there's been a change to the announcement feature, for example. If you're interested in learning more about notifications and you haven't been able to join us the last week for that, I do have that available on our Ivy Tech statewide training page, and it's also on our YouTube channel. If you look into the chat area, you'll see that I posted that a little bit earlier, a link to that ivytech.edu/IvyLearn, and then this link actually takes you directly to the training page. So we do have that available for you. Okay, I think we have a couple more questions here. Oh, if you set a due date, Deb's getting advanced questions here. If you set a due date and you want to make an assignment unavailable to students after 2 weeks, can you just unpublish the assignment? If you do, will it still stay on the gradebook? I would not unpublish the assignment. That just makes it unavailable. I would use, there's a date range, and we're going to look at how to set up a calendaring event, which also can generate an assignment in just a moment. So you can set a range that is available. Okay, let me see if we have a couple more questions here. Okay, I think I've answered all the questions at this time. Please continue to ask those questions. Oh, I'm sorry, Jane, you did have a question. I apologize, I missed that just a second ago. Do we choose to use those icons, or do they populate automatically? They populate automatically. So if you're using the announcements, then it'll show up here. If you're using the conversations area, that'll show up here. And the same thing. So here's your icon that shows up if you're using course discussions. Here's your icon if you've had course assignments, and then there's also course files. So if you're using these types of content areas in your course, those icons will automatically appear for you on your course card. Great question. Okay, so let's take a look at the calendaring tool. So we know that we have these course cards and they're color blocks. So this is how this corresponds with the calendar. When I go to the calendar, which is on my global navigation menu on the left-hand side of the page, you'll see that the interface kind of remains the same. So the global interface, we have the menu on the left-hand side. We have our content area, which takes up the majority of the real estate. And then over here on the right-hand side, we have our sidebar, which includes a calendar and then all of the courses that we are enrolled in as instructors or as students. Okay? You can only have 10 courses appear on the calendar at one time in the calendar view. To toggle those calendars, you just simply click the color block. So for example, keep an eye on this little purple icon here on Wednesday, March 1st. You'll see this purple color corresponds with my demo database server. I'm going to click my color block, and you'll notice that that item just disappeared from my view. If I want to see that again, I just go ahead and click that block again, which is now transparent, and that information just appears back on the calendar. And you can do that for any calendar on the system. To turn it on and off, the view, you just click the color block. Every IvyLearn calendar has a personal calendar already established for you, so I can set up my own personal events, and I can also, each course automatically has a calendar created as well. And I believe a few minutes ago we had a faculty member ask me about what if I don't set a due date. And if you'll come down here under these calendars, here's this undated. So here are assignments that are currently in the courses that I'm taking that do not have due dates. Okay, so it does appear here, if it's an assignment, it does appear here, but it doesn't have a current date assigned to it. Okay, so if you forget to set a date or you don't publish your date, it will be located here. Okay, I highly, highly recommend using those due dates, setting due dates for your students, because that's how students can stay engaged. That calendaring system, those due dates, they populate the calendar, they populate the global navigation sidebar. So when you see that to-do list and all the things that are coming up, the sequential learning that the student needs to do, those due dates help students stay on track and engaged with the content. Okay, so let's go back to our calendar. Okay. Up here at the top of the page, you can change your view to week, month, agenda. You can schedule appointments, or you can add an event. Okay, so your view is pretty standard calendaring system. There's the week, there's the month. The agenda is a list form. So you'll see a whole list of all of your assignments coming up in sequential order. The scheduler allows you to set up kind of office hours with your students. And because we have limited time, I want to show you how you can actually create an assignment or an event using the calendaring system. So as an instructor, I can create an assignment within my course. I can also do it here in my calendar. So pretty powerful stuff. When I click Create New Event, I can create an event. So I'm going to give my event a title. Okay. I want to give it a date. I can enter the date here, or I can click my little calendar icon, and I'm going to say I need that for next Friday. I give it a time. Okay. I give it a location. I can tell it what calendar to apply that event to. So this is my personal, I'm going to prepare for a meeting, so I'm just going to add this to my personal calendar. I also have more options that I can select from. And by doing that, what that does is it opens it up to the content editor, so I can enter in more information. So I can make notes to myself about what I need to prepare for my curriculum meeting. Okay. And then I simply select Create Event. You'll get the success receipt, and now if I look at March 10th, for chunking, that's a technical term if you didn't know. And I like to look at the month view myself, so I'm going to say on March 10th, I just added this event, Prepare for Curriculum Meeting. And this blue color corresponds with my personal calendar over here on the right-hand side. All right, so let's go back in here. Anytime in IvyLearn, anytime you're adding a content item, a page, an assignment, an event, a discussion board, an announcement, you'll always see this plus sign, okay? So in this particular area, it's Create New Event. So I click the plus sign, and now at this little toggle switch up here, I can say Create Assignment. I give the assignment a title. I give it a due date. I suggest which calendar this is going to apply to, and I'm going to put this in my sandbox shell just for my purposes of this presentation. And I can assign it to a group, and right now I only have assignments in that particular area. I have the option here to publish this, and when I click Publish, this means it's available to students to view. Okay? Publish is a word that you're going to need to become very, very familiar with. Anytime you add an assignment, a page, any type of content to the IvyLearn environment, you have to make sure it's published if you want it to be visible to students. Okay? You can also, when you're creating calendar events or assignment events through the calendaring, you can also not publish it at this time, and it becomes like a placeholder. So I'm going to go ahead and publish this. I'm also going to take a look at under more options. Okay, so because this is an assignment, I can now give my instructions. Okay, I can scroll down. I can assign my points. So this is what it creates. This is automatically creating my column in the Grade Center. I can give it to the assignment group. I can actually create a new group if I need to, but I'm going to leave it as assignments. I can tell it how I want this to display in the Grade Center, so points, letter grade, percentage, complete or incomplete. I can allow this to be calculated into my overall grades. I can also select submission type. Okay, so there's no submission type. Maybe you don't need that for some reason. It's going to be online if you want them to submit it through the IvyLearn platform. You can also do on paper. So I know some of our traditional faculty don't have computers built into their classrooms. So it might be that you want to have your students to take a paper test, or you want them to just bring their topics to you and have a one-on-one discussion about what the research topic is going to be. You can select on paper, okay, which means it still creates the item in the Grade Center, but it's not expecting you to turn something in using the IvyLearn platform. If you select online, you have to tell them what kind of entry option you would like to have. So a text entry, you can allow them to submit it as a website, as a media recording, or even as a file upload. Okay? You can make it a group assignment. Does it require peer review? So if you're an English instructor and you want to use a lot of peer reviews, this is how you would engage that. I can assign it to a specific person or a specific group or to everyone. I'm giving it a due date, and this is how I can make it available. I want this available to students from such and such date to this date. So I can be very, very specific on availability. And again, it's going to prompt me, do I want to save and publish, or do I just want to save? So I'm going to save and publish. Okay, so you now see that I have my research topic due on the 17th. Well, wait a minute. Students are on spring break on March 17th. That's not what I meant. I meant to add it to the 24th. So this is as simple. This is so cool. You just click the topic, and you click and drag. I'm like, I really meant that to be due on the 24th after students get back from spring break. Okay, and it's just that simple. I just changed the date, and it changes it throughout the whole system. So pretty fancy stuff. If you'd like to incorporate your IvyLearn calendar into your Outlook calendar or your Google Calendar, whatever you might be using, you can use the calendar feed or the iCal feature to incorporate that into one location. Okay. All right, so we've talked about color blocks. We've talked about the importance of due dates and how that really generates a lot of interaction with our students, and how you can drag and drop things in the calendar. Do you have any questions? Let me take a look here in our question box. Kind of scrolling through the question box, so just give me just a second here to make sure that I've answered all of your questions. Okay, it looks like I have all of the questions answered at this point in time. Beth has a couple questions coming in. Can organizations create events that will be viewable on member students' calendars? Yes, if you're in an organization and you have students that are in that particular organization, of course, that becomes viewable to that particular individual. Regardless of role, if they're engaged in the class, either as a student, as an observer, as a program chair, as a student, yes, they can see that calendar. That's a great question. Okay. I'd be glad to stay on the line with you for just a few more minutes to answer any questions that you might have. I do appreciate your time. I hope you're enjoying the things that we're doing here in the IvyLearn platform. We do have a series of training events that are available on the statewide level. You can go to the ivytech.edu/IvyLearn homepage to see what's going on in IvyLearn, and also to access not only those training events, but upcoming events and archived events as well. And of course, your regional super users are doing a great job of going and doing some face-to-face trainings. Specifically, I know Ron's on board today, and he's meeting with you guys to do some training as well. So keep up the great work. If you'd like to exit the webinar at any time, you can go to the top of the GoToWebinar control panel and click the X to exit. Again, thank you very much for your time today.